Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are moving ahead towards the design of fuzzy controller. But before that, we have to learn two things. That is, what do you mean by fuzzification and what do you mean by defuzzification? So let's first see the fuzzification. Just wait. So there is one question frequently asked: methods of membership, value assignment, or explain the different methods of fuzzification. So you can write the question. Write a short note on fuzzification. Write a short note on fuzzification. Write a short note on fuzzification. Or the question, same question can be asked like this: explain different types of methods of fuzzification. Explain different methods of fuzzification. Explain different types of methods of fuzzification. So in short, in this particular question, you have to list all these 7 methods, okay? Not 8, 9, 10, up to 7 different types of methods. And then you have to explain one by one, okay? One paragraph, that's enough, right? So normally this question is asked, if it is asked, it will be asked for 10 marks. If it is asked for 5 marks, then obviously you know how much length should be right over there. Okay, so but basically you have to describe in one paragraph, and all these are very simple. And once you finish this entire syllabus, you don't have to even know by heart this particular question, because you can write a number of pages in this particular question. For example, if you see, the 6 point is genetic algorithm, so there is a separate chapter on genetic algorithm. So once you do the entire chapter of genetic algorithm, I mean, it's not a big deal to write only one paragraph about genetic algorithm. Okay, similarly, if you see, the 6 point is sorry, 5th point is neural network. So again, the entire there are 3 parts in this particular subject. One is fuzzy logic, second is neural network, and third is your artificial intelligence. So the second part is, entire part is your neural network. So once you will study the entire part of neural network, so obviously, I mean, you don't have to by heart this particular thing, right? You can, anytime you can write one paragraph based on that. So this answer to this particular question is very, very easy. So let me start. What do you mean by fuzzification first? Acha, one thing, because this was the practical slot, so I'll just give the information regarding the practical, so that you will be confident enough in that particular area, that and you will not worry, because I'll take according to my, let it be anything in the timetable. So I know what to cover, right? So I'm the best person to decide. So I'll go according to my thing, right? And let me show you the things regarding the practical first. So this is what I've designed the practical, and there I've kept in your experiment list 9 experiments. Okay. So the idea is, see, uh, the no experiments I put in such a way. In fact, these are there in the syllabus also, but I also would like to put in the same way and see what happens normally. We have started with what, a fuzzy logic, then we will go to the neural network, and then we will go to the artificial intelligence, right? But so artificial intelligence will be the last part. But again, I'll start the practical from the first one only. And if you see, if you see first, second, third, fourth. So first, second, third, fourth are your based on AI. Okay, first, second, third, fourth are based on AI. Then fifth one, sixth one, implement McCulloch-Pitts model. Okay, so you will have to write the code, and then you will have to solve the problem. And then the sixth one is to implement fuzzy controller. So this we are moving to this particular topic, fuzzy controller, right? So after 1 or 2 lectures, we'll be able to complete the fuzzy controller, okay, which normally they ask for 10 marks. Initially they used to ask for 20 marks. So in the entire problem, there was one problem was used to there of 20 marks. So students used to go over there and they used to solve that problem only first, because they were knowing out of two problem, one problem will be definitely there for 20 marks. So it was like a by heart problem, okay? And they used to take only 5 minutes to complete the entire problem. So 20 marks were there in the pocket, but since now they've merged the syllabus of AI and all, so now the total marking is reduced to 10 marks. But the idea is the problem they will going to ask based on this fuzzy controller. And then after that, this implement basic supervised unsupervised neural network learning rules for a problem. So we'll be dealing different types of learning rules in the neural network, right? Both supervised and unsupervised. So any learning rules you can implement. It's a freedom to you. And then there is a case study of an application, printed character recognition or face recognition. Right? So there is a case study of anything you can take. All these applications are there in your neural network, right? So you can have a character recognition or face recognition, right? And then you can do a case study on that. And probably I may ask you to do the slides based on that your case study, because some kind of marking should be there. It is required for university marking. And then the ninth one is to implement object detection using convolution neural network. So this thing is not there in your syllabus, okay? It's not there in your syllabus, but many of you might be knowing already about this convolution neural network, and many of you might be already doing the project also based on this particular thing. So I thought, why not to introduce you to this particular topic, because it will not be there in your syllabus. And I'll show also that I'm covering something something out of syllabus to your this thing AISC. So it will also bridge the gap. So based on this, you can have different kind of application design. So this will be the last experiment. So if you see properly, all these are experiments are very simple, okay? We can cover in one day 2 3 experiments, no problem. Or even if we will go one by one experiments, we will be able to do it. And if you see, the eighth one is case study, right? And the ninth one, we have to design one application object detection using convolution neural network. So based on that, whatever you have done in the ML, based on that you will have to implement this particular thing. And if you are not able to implement, then obviously I will going to teach you. So these two things are there. And then once we will cover this fuzzy controller, then I will tell you to write the program based on that, okay? And the program will be written in Python. All the programs will be written in Python, except there is a first, second, third, and fourth. So for these 2 3 experiments, we will be requiring a separate software. Otherwise our this thing Google Drive will be enough, right? Colab will be enough. So we'll be able to write the program in that, okay? Or whatever you want, Jupyter Notebook, that will be enough, right? That will be sufficient. So everything will be writing in the Python only. Only thing for the AI part will be using Prolog language, okay? So I'll just write over here. So I don't know, just let me check. Prolog. Download Prolog, I'll write. Yeah, download HWI Prolog. This we will be requiring. Yeah, this one. Okay. So we'll be requiring this one. You can download this one and you can install it. So we'll be requiring this HWI Prolog. Owl icon is there. Okay. So for the first experiment, we'll be requiring this, even for the first, second, third, right? And here the syntax will be little bit different, but it's very easy, very, very easy. Okay. So this is what I wanted to tell you. So if you don't worry about the experiments, because experiments, see, whenever it was like the way we used to conduct the experiments, mine experiment used to get over very fast, and in one month, within 1 month I used to finish, okay? 1 or 1.5 months. And by 2 months all the files was ready, okay? At least for the AISC, all the student file was ready. So I used to tell the student that you don't keep the tension of submission and making the file ready and all. Complete the file, finish it, so that all the remaining time will be just for the study purpose only. Clear? And the second thing, it's not that we'll be doing in very hurry. Obviously, we'll be practicing also, and the concept will also be clear. So along with that, we will be doing very fast. So it will not take much time. But the if will not take the lecture part is very, I mean, the syllabus is very vast. If we see, it's a combination of fuzzy logic. So fuzzy logic is there. Then after that, I'll jump to neural network. So I'll have to cover the neural network almost entire thing. Then I'll have to jump to the I mean artificial intelligence part. So it's like almost three different things are there in the same subject. So it's not you know the syllabus is very vast. So we have to anyhow finish our entire thing. Okay, so all of you got this. This is the experiment list. Obviously, when I'll start, or maybe I'll tomorrow only I'll start. So what all of you can do, just you can download this one. See, it's up to me. Whenever I want, I will going to start the experiments. So just you keep install this particular software, SWI Prolog. Okay, so you and I don't think it will be around maybe 40-50 MB. I don't know. So it's not big software also. Okay, all of you are getting my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can have this particular software. Now let's go to this one. Okay, methods of membership value assignment or fudgification. So basically we are having these the different types like intuition, and second is inference, third is rank ordering. This is rank ordering, RANK ORDERING, or ordering, rank ordering, rank order. Okay, so rank ordering. Then fourth one is angular fuzzy sets, angular fuzzy sets. The fifth one is neural networks. Fifth one is neural networks. Then the sixth one is genetic algorithms. Sixth one is genetic algorithms. And seventh one is inductive reasoning. Seventh one is inductive reasoning. So I mean the last part like fifth, sixth, and seventh, it's not there in this particular notes, but I'm having that soft copy of this book also. So it's given in this particular book. So this book I have uploaded over there. You can just read once. No need to give all this set of examples and all. Okay, only thing you just need to describe it. So if you are able to describe it in one paragraph, it's enough. It's up to you whether you want to write very big answer, or it's precise and it will cover basically the concept, then it's sufficient. Okay, so let's go by the first one. It's an intuition. Intuition. So basically what do you mean by intuition is, say for example, if I say design a fuzzy set of having a middle age, the old age, and young age people. Okay, now so there are almost 85 students are there, 86 students are there, right? So if I'll start checking each and everybody's design, so there is a possibility that many of you might be having different age ranges, right? For example, middle age, many of you might consider 30 to 40, many of you will consider 35 to 45, okay, or 50. So there will be variation in your design, right? But see, I have not told anything, but you are designing according to your intuition, right? So everybody has their own intuition, and according to their own intuition, they will going to design the problem. But what do you mean by fudgification is basically you are having a crisp value, okay, and then you are trying to make in terms of no fuzzy value, right? So you are trying to create a fuzzy set. This is basically what do you mean by a fudgification. For example, see here, a fudgification. Can you see this? All of you can see this? Letter is visible?
So little zoom in.
Okay. Now?
Yes, sir.
So if you see here, the fudgification is what? Is the process of transforming a crisp set to a fuzzy set, or fuzzy set to a more fuzzier set, okay? Remember one thing, it is a process of converting or transforming a crisp set to a fuzzy set, okay? This is the basic process. And defudgification is exactly opposite of this one. This the defudgification means what? A fuzzy set will be converted to a crisp value. Okay. First we were doing what? Fudgification. So crisp quantity we are converting to a fuzzy set. Then in the defudgification we will convert what? A defudgified value to a crisp value. Okay. So that means what? Fuzzy value we will convert to a crisp value. Now why we require this? Because see, you will argue that, sir, why we require this fudgification? Okay, why there is a need to convert this? So for example, in this particular book there is one example is given. Let's say suppose no, it's a season of it's winter season and the temperature is, let's say, 0 degrees centigrade. Okay, so if I say today temperature is, let's say, 8 degrees centigrade. Okay, so 8 degrees centigrade, immediately if I'll give you this particular number, so you will, I mean, you will going to think, okay, but the process will be little bit slower. Okay, and if in place of this, if I'll say like this, it's very cold today, it's very cold. If I'll say like this, then immediately you will think that I'll have to wear the jacket, okay, because it's very cold. So there is a little bit difference in processing this kind of no statement. For example, if I say today it's 20, let's say 35.3% cloudy, okay, but if I say it's partially clouded or it's too much cloudy, okay, this kind of words if I'll say, then you will interpret more fast and you can take the decision. That is more important. Okay, the brain will process it and it will take the decision. If I say it's very cold, immediately your brain will process it and it will make the decision that I'll have to wear the jacket, right? But if I say today it's 10 degrees centigrade, then the decision making is little bit slower. So our brain is very much trained in processing this kind of information where we immediately hear and immediately no decision comes in our mind. So we are very good in that. That means what exactly what we are doing? See, the answer was 9 degrees centigrade only, and the 9 degrees centigrade is, it's a crisp value. Okay, it's a crisp or accurate value. But what in our mind, what we are doing, we are trying to convert. If we want to make the decision, ultimately we will have to convert that particular thing into some kind of fuzzy information. For example, 9 degrees centigrade, in our mind we are converting it to what? It's too cold. So once we are converted to too cold, then we are making the decision that we have to wear the jacket. And so that's what there is a need of converting this kind of crisp value to a fuzzy value, so that the decision thing will be more appropriate, right? And our mind is very good in that particular thing. So this is what a conversion of crisp value to a fuzzy value. So there are different approaches are available by which we can convert this kind of very cold, too cold, or let's say not very cold, too cold. In fact, the crisp values to different fuzzy set. For example, if I say to design the fuzzy set of old person, young person, and also by using the graph, triangular graph, or the lines and all, by using those, or even by the curve shape, we'll be able to design it. But nobody is telling you to draw one particular graph, or based on your intuition which particular range you will have to select. It's your wish. So the first answer is totally, you will have to describe like this. It's based on our own intelligence, our own capability, how we understand that particular problem, how much we are aware of that particular domain, right? And then based on that, from our intuition, we are designing that particular thing, right? And the second is what? Inference method. So in inference method, it's like this. For example, normally we say that if A is B, B is C, then A is C, like this kind of some kind of deductive reasoning will be doing, right? So some kind of inferences will be making, and from that we will be making the decision. For example, if we will consider a triangle, so we know that the triangle, all the angle addition will be total angle addition will be doing. For example, here the triangle example is given. So if you see here, so here triangle example is given, and based on that they will be deriving the different values, right? So it's not that only the triangle, you can consider any shape. Basically you will have to based on certain geometrical shape, you can derive certain inferences, certain conclusions, and based on that, you can assign the values, right? So you can make the membership values, membership assignments values. So this is what the inference. Then the next one is your rank ordering. In rank ordering, it's very simple method. Rank ordering is similar to your ranks. For example, in exam, who is the first rank holder, second rank holder, or it can be a polling method also, right? So based on that, we can decide who is what, the first rank, second rank, third rank. So in the similar way, here also we can assign the values, right? The same rank ordering system we can assign in this particular concept. The next is what, angular fuzzy sets. So there is a little bit difference in your inference. Inference, we can take any geometrical shapes, okay, and then we can deduce the inferences. We can have the decision. But in angular fuzzy sets, we will be considering only angular angles, okay. So it will be like this. I'll just show you. For example, if you see here, so this is theta equal to 0, then theta equal to pi by 8, then theta equal to pi by 4, theta equal to 3. So basically we are considering in terms of angular angle. So this is what angular fuzzy set, right? And this one nice example is given in your book. So if you see here, the example is given regarding the pH value of the water, okay. So it's saying that the angular fuzzy sets are explained as follows. Consider the pH value of water. Just a minute. Consider the pH value of wastewater from a dyeing industry. These pH readings are assigned linguistic labels such as high, base, medium, acid, etc. to understand the quality of polluted water. So the pH value should be taken care of because the waste from the dyeing industry should not be hazardous to the environment. As is known, the neutral solution has the pH value of 7. So a neutral solution, that is pH equal to 7, is not acidic and not basic, okay, it's a neutral, right? But if we will increase the value of pH from 7 to 14 or 0 to 7, it is having a different meaning. So if you see here, the linguistic variables are built in such a way that neutral we are representing by n, then solution corresponds to theta equal to 0 radian. So theta equal to 0, we are considering what, a neutral, right? Theta equal to 0, we are considering neutral. And then exact base and exact acid. So when it will be exact base and exact acid, we can corresponds to pi by 2, theta equal to pi by 2, and theta equal to minus pi by 2, right? And then if you see the explanation, the levels of pH between 7 and 14 can be termed as very base, right? And 14 will be exact base, right? So in this particular 7 to 14, we can distinguish like very base, medium base, and on, so on. And then the next one is what, 0 to 7, we can distinguish as what, very acid, medium acid, no? So in that way. And the 7 is the neutral. So if you see the diagram, this one, if you see theta equal to 0, that is a neutral, and then this is medium basic, pi by 8. So at theta equal to pi by 8 angle, no, I have assigned medium base. Then at theta equal to pi by 4, I have said basic, because I want to go from 0 to exact basic, right? And then the basic, very basic, and exact basic. Similarly, if you go over here in this particular direction, it's a medium acid, very acidic, and exact acidic, right? So in this way, in the angular fuzzy sets, we consider the basically your circular angles, okay, the radian angles. Then okay, so then after that we are having the neural networks. So basically the neural network process, you all are aware, right? We can use for classification or pattern recognition and all. So what we do normally, we take a large set of database, then we try to divide into training sets and testing sets, and then using the training sets, we train the network, and then by using the testing sets, we will going to test it, right? So what we can do, we can first of all have all the database. By using the training sets, we can train the network. Then by using the testing set, we can test the network. right? And let's say we are using for the classification purpose. So let's say here we are having the different classes, region A, region B, and region C. The different classes are there. So whatever data will be coming, we will going to put in different particular regions, okay, our different classes like RA, RB, RC. So like this, we can use a neural network, and then we can divide the data into different classes and all, and based on that we can assign the value. So we can take the help of neural network in this particular process, in the fudgification process. So this method you are aware. Similarly, the next, if we go, it's a genetic algorithm, right? So if we will see the genetic algorithm, so normally here whatever we'll be doing, we will be doing with the help of genetic algorithm. So what is the process of genetic algorithm? It's basically to select a population, okay, and then from the population you just design one fit function, okay, according to a fitness function. You try to select out some best individuals, right? And then you do different kinds of processes like mutation, no crossover and all, and then again from those, those population, the selected population, the fit population, you again try to make one one population, one set of population, and then from that again you try to select based on your fitness function. Again you try to select certain groups, okay, and then again you try to repeat the same processes, so that in every iteration you will you will go towards a more fitter kind of individuals and all. So based on this genetic algorithm also, we can we can adopt this genetic algorithm also in this particular fudgification, and we can assign the values. So once the genetic algorithm chapter will be over, you can write the entire 32 pages of that particular thing. So writing one paragraph is not difficult in this. And then the last one, we are having the inductive reasoning. So the inference we had, the second point was the inference. So in inference, we used to go from towards the forward direction. Okay, for example, if X is A is B, then we are saying no, B is C. That kind of inferences we are making, right? Or if A is true, B is true, then A and B will be true. That kind of inferences we are making. So similar here in the inductive reasoning, we do the induction process. So we go from the backward direction, and from the backward direction, we first see the answer, and then we will go towards the towards the input side from the backward direction. So this is the inductive reasoning process. It is a backward inference. Okay, it is a backward inference. So induction is used to deduce causes. What was the causes for that particular output? Okay, and that's why we go in the backward direction. So this is just the reverse of that particular thing. Okay, from the output side, we try to go towards the input side. So basically these are the different methods. Again, let's see the names. Just wait. So we are having the intuition based on our own intelligence, okay, our own information, our own intelligence, intuition. We can design based on our inferences, and for the inferences you can utilize the different geometrical shapes and their theories, right? And based on that you can try to design put the values, assign the values. Then based on the rank ordering also you can assign the values. Rank ordering is simple like our ranking system, okay. Then based on the angular fuzzy set, we can use the angular angles on the circle, right? And to different radians we can assign different values, and then based on that we can assign the values. We can do the fudgification. Then we can do with the help of neural networks, okay. We can adopt the neural networks, then we can do the classification and all, right? Or different kinds of pattern recognition, and based on that also we can assign the value. So let's say suppose we have developed 3 classes, or to the 3 classes we can give different range of values over there. Then inductive reasoning. So inductive reasoning is just the inverse process of this particular thing. We go in the backward direction. So we try to find out what was the causes of this particular output, and then we see first the answer, and then we go towards the backward direction. Now, how to remember this answer? It's very simple to remember the answer. So I have designed one word. It's Firangi. If you see, there is one letter I've written, one word, Firangi, Firangi, Firangi. Firangi. So first letter you just replace by I. First letter you just replace by R, so it will be I Rangi. Okay. So from first letter I, it's intuition. Then second, it's inference. R, rank ordering. A, angular fuzzy sets. N, neural network. G, genetic algorithm. And I, inductive reasoning. Okay. So just remember these 7 methods. Whenever short notes come, you can prepare one theory for one paragraph, and you should be able to write. And whatever questions I am covering, okay, only those questions you will have to study, right? Don't try to study much in this particular subject. So whatever things I am covering, from the same they will going to ask you. Don't worry about that. You can also see the papers. You will not find anything different. So this, write down, just note down Firangi and just replace the first word F by I. All of you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Done? Just highlight
One
each
minute,
word.
sir.
Yeah. By every letter, you can just write, for example, with the first I, replace F by I. Okay. I'm saying replace F by I. This Firangi means what? Firangi is a Hindi word for Britishers. Okay. So we used to call them in Hindi Firangi. So it's a Hindi word for Britishers. So I designed that particular word from there. Only thing I wanted to remember this entire things, right? So I always have a difficulty of remembering what different, at least if I am remembering the points, I'll be able to write. This is what true for me. So I don't know all of you, if you are able to remember it properly, absolutely there is no problem. But those who are having any trouble, you can always remember these words. And then obviously we will going to study the theory and we know the concept, but we should be aware of the main point. Okay, if we are aware of the main point, you are very smart enough. Now you are in BE, so you already know how to complete your paper. Okay, how to fill the pages. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now few things are not there in these notes, and even I am not having, and it's not there in the book also. So those things are there in college. Okay, it will be there in my drawer, and I'll see if anybody is going over there, then I'll tell them to bring. But it's very difficult for them. I usually don't find my stuff on my table only. So if anybody else is going, it will be very difficult for them to find. But it's there over there, and many 5-6 problems are there based on this fudgification, defudgification, which I don't think is there in this particular notes. But if I'll try to see if it's there in the book properly, because I remember in the book it's not properly solved, and 1 or 2 diagrams are not properly given also. So I'll just check, and then now we will move to the next topic. Just wait. In this node, okay. So let's cover this particular theory also, defudgification. This one also you can study. Okay, I'll just go from the I'll not go much deep, just I'll inform you about this particular thing. So this is also, they normally ask for short note defudgification methods. So remember there are two questions. One is fudgification methods and second is defudgification methods. Okay. So there are two questions. This is also normally they ask for 10 marks, but this is more lengthy question, defudgification methods, and this is a little bit difficult also. So many of the times they will ask you explain, let's say, centroid method and mean max membership method, defudgification method. So sometimes they will ask you only one or two methods, but if they are asking all the methods, then according to your time and convenience you can describe them, right? So basically they will, and one or the other method will be there in the exam for short note, for either for 5 marks or for 10 marks. So you will have to prepare, there is no other option. Okay. And at the end, after this, after explaining this, I'll tell you one statement to remember this, so don't worry about that. We will be able to remember all the 7 methods. And in the formula also, there are sometimes there is symbol of summation, sometimes there is symbol of integration and all. Obviously we will going to have the integration derivative also in this thing, but I'll tell you according in such a way that we will not directly apply the integration, but indirectly we will going to apply the integration and will be solving the problem. So there are approximately 7 methods. First of all, what is defudgification method? So defudgification means converting to defudgify, right? So converting a fuzzy value to a defudgified value. That means a fuzzy value to a crisp value. In fudgification, we convert crisp to fuzzy. In defudgification, we convert a fuzzy value to a crisp value. Now we will argue, sir, why such thing is there? Why we have to convert to crisp value? So for example, suppose I have designed some controller, right? And let's say it's a controller of on and off temperature, let's say. Okay, so on and off temperature, and my logic is based on certain voltage level, right? Certain voltage level. So if the output is fuzzy kind of thing, for example, too cold, too hot, okay, so if this kind of thing is there, I won't be able to make my decision, right, whether I'll have to off the controller or not, right? But if there is the exact value, then only I'll be able to make my proper decision. So let's say if I have designed in such a way that if the temperature goes to 45 degree, or any no current thing is there, or voltage thing is there, let's say the voltage will go to 5 volt or 10 volt. So based on certain exact value, I can cut off, okay, I can make certain kind of decision, right? So after the everything is designed based on the fuzzy kind of thing, and then the final output we can have as a what, crisp value, so that on that particular crisp value we can make the decision. So normally this is done in the controller and all, where we will require one value, and based on that value we will make our decision whether to off or on, right, that particular stuff. So in those models we will require this, the final block as what, defudgification method. So what are different ways of doing the defudgification methods? The first one is max membership principle. The second is centroid method. Third is weighted average method. And fourth, mean max membership. Fifth one, center of sums. Sixth one, center of largest area. And the seventh one, first of maxima. This is FIST, first of maxima, comma, last of maxima. Okay, first of maxima, comma, last of maxima. Or you can also say first of minima, comma, last of minima. So both will do. So this is last method is what, first of maxima, comma, last of maxima. Just note down all the methods and leave entire page. Okay, after writing this thing, leave entire page, so that after that we can also write all these things, and we can find out a way to remember all these different 7 methods. First one is max membership principle. Second, centroid method. Third, weighted average method. Fourth, mean max membership. Mean max membership. Then fifth one, center of sums. Fifth one, center of sums. Sixth one, center of largest area. Sixth one, center of largest area. And seventh one, first of maxima, last of maxima.
So what was the first one again? Man membership?
Max,
Max
MAX.
membership. Okay.
The maximum membership, okay?
So the last one.
Last one is first of maxima, comma, last of maxima. First of maxima, comma, last of maxima. So for this is over. All of you note it down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what you can do, you just draw this first one, first graphs, A graph, second graph B, and this third one C. Okay, so I'll just zoom it. Yeah. So first one, it's a C1 fuzzy set is given, and C1 fuzzy set look like this. So 0 to 6, 2, 4. Okay, this is 0.51 C1 fuzzy set. Then second fuzzy set C2, it's 4 to 10. Its height is 0.5 only. Okay. Now suppose we are given two fuzzy sets, fuzzy set A, fuzzy set C1, and fuzzy set C2. Now we have to draw a final graph, okay, by combining both the sets, right? We have to draw a superimposed graph of C1 and C2 fuzzy set. So that means we want to combine both the graphs. We want to combine it. So we will take the union of both the fuzzy sets. So if we will going to take the union, that means we will going to consider the max part, right? So that means we will going to consider the outer boundaries. Okay, we will going to consider the outer boundaries. So if you see here, if you try to superimpose both the graph, and if you try to cover only the outer boundaries, so if you see here, this is going from 0 to 1. Okay, so 0 to 1, obviously there is nothing is there, so it will go from here to here, from this particular point. Only thing, when this will interfere, it will interfere in between 4 and 6, right? So till till 1 there is obviously there is no problem, so this part is coming. Then from 1 to this particular line is going towards 6. Okay, and if you see here 4 from 4 the line is coming like this. So obviously this line and this line, from here this line and this line will intersect somewhere, right? So let's see, I'm assuming that they will be intersecting at this particular point. So till there it will go, and from this particular point this line is going down only, and we have to consider what the outer part. So we will consider now this particular part. So from here to here and then till this particular point, this will be the final graph. Whether all of you are able to interpret this particular thing what I was explaining now? Otherwise I'll just draw on this thing and then I'll show you.
Sure, explain once again.
Okay, so just give me some time so that I can draw this. Acha, one more thing. Now you will be having the notebook. Okay, so I'll just show you the trick. So on your notebook, you are suppose having this is a left border. Okay, this is right, and then you are having the lines like this. I don't know in this whether grid option is there. If it's there, then okay, let it be. Now what you can do, you can draw the first graph. You can just assume, I mean, you can, with the scale, you can mark somewhere the left axis over here, right? Let's say suppose I am marking over here, right? So this is my left axis. So considering this as a vertical axis, I'll be drawing basically one graph over here, then another graph just below of that, then third graph just below of that, and then the final graph, below all the graph. For example, there are only 2 graphs, so I'll be drawing first graph over here. So let me mark. So this is my 0 point. This is my C1 fuzzy set. Okay, this is my C1 fuzzy set, and let me mark the point. So this is what 2, then 4, then this is 6 and 8, and this is 10, right? And then so I think this is till 3. I'll just mark over here. And this going from 0. So from 0 to 6. So it's going till 3 only. Again, it's 3 over here. And this is 0. So 0. It's very difficult. Okay. From here to here. So this is the 0 to 6 first. And then again below this, I'll be drawing the next graph. So let me say this is my axis. And here I've considered 2 lines. Similarly, you can also consider 2 lines. For example, this I'm marking is about 0.5. This 0.5, and this is 1, right? So similarly, on your notebook also you can mark. You can take 4 lines, right? 2 lines 0.5, 2 more lines 1. This is my C2. C2 fuzzy set 1, and this is 0.5. This is 0. Now this point is so 0. And what you can do, you can just draw lines like this so that every point will be properly spaced. This will be 3. This is 4. This is 6, let's say 8, 10. Now the next graph is from 4. This is my 2. This is 4. This is 6, 8, and 10. It's 4 to 6, then a parallel line till 8, and then 10. Okay. So 4 to 6, parallel line up to 8, and then like this. Right? So I'll just draw in some other color. Okay. So this is this one, and like this. Okay. So this is the second graph. Now my final graph. So I am saying this will be my final graph, superimpose of C1 and C2. Again, the marking I'll do 0. This is 2. This is 4, 6, 8, 10. Right. Now I have to superimpose. Now see carefully. So if you see here carefully, see at this particular point 4 is there. So obviously between 4 and 6 there is one line. Okay, there is one line in the second set. 4 to 6 there is one line. And if you observe the above diagram, between 4 and 6, obviously the part of this particular line is coming, right? So it's clear that this line is falling, and from where it's falling from the third point, 3 point, right? So I'm drawing first this particular line. Okay, this line is from 0 to 3. So let me draw that first. And 3 is over here. This is 2. Okay, this is 2, and this point is 3. So that means this particular point is what? 3. So I'll just draw this line from here to here, right? I'm not able to draw a straight line. Okay, this is much straight. So 0 to 3, this particular line, and after that, see here, there is no issue. So now this line is going towards 6. So let me move this line towards 6. But it will not go till here because we are finding what? The max outer border. Okay, we are trying to superimpose both the images. So we have to select the outer boundaries only. Whichever is the max boundaries, that only you select it. Even if you complete it, let me just complete it so that it will be much simple for you. So I'll just complete by dotted line, right? And then it will be more clear to you. And there is a second diagram. This one is there. So it's going till 6. Okay, then 6 to 8, and then 8 to 10 is there. I'm sorry, this is I think till 0.5. Okay, so this diagram should have been till here, till here. Okay, because amplitude is 0.5. Yeah, it's not till 1. By mistake I drawn till so. So this is up to 0.5. So obviously this line will, okay, this line is going till here, and from here to here, and then this 10. Now if you see, this line is going like this and it's going towards down. Now we have to select what? The outer boundary. So obviously these inner boundaries we will reject, and we will select this till here, then till here, till here, and then this boundary, and then this boundary. Okay, so this will be my final diagram. Is this clear, all of you? All of you, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
It was a little bit difficult for me to explain by drawing over here, but I think you got the idea, right? So on your notebook, it will be much easier to you. Okay. Only thing, you just need to see both the graph, and if you want, you can draw with the dotted line, and then the final outer line you can just make it solid. That's it, right? If you're not able to guess it properly, but if you see carefully, you can easily visualize, right? And we don't have to mark exact point. Only thing, you need to draw a proper shape, because if I want to determine this particular point, this intersection point, I can easily determine by doing some calculation, right? So for example, I can determine the equation of this line and then the equation of this line, and then I can easily determine what will be the intersection point. So obviously there is no, there is no need of worry, okay, and no need of graph paper also. So it's on simple plain paper, we can draw it, and we can save the time, and we can solve the problem also. So the problems will come based on, problem may come based on this particular thing for 10 marks, right? And the problem will not be only of drawing this superimposition diagram, but they will tell you to solve by using some, let's say, max-min method or centroid method to find out what defudgified value. So at the end, we will have to determine the defudgified value based on any of the method, and in those method we will have to, we are required to draw the diagram like this. So in the question they will be giving like this. Okay, they will be giving any one or two sets, and then we will have to draw this first of all on our answer sheet, and then we will have to draw the answer wala diagram, okay, final diagram, and then based on the final diagram we will have to solve our problem. Okay, so whether all of you, but I wanted to explain you what we mean by the superimposition of this particular graph. If two sets are given, then how to draw the final graph from both the sets, how to select the outer boundaries, so that solving of the problem will become much easier. So whether this is clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's consider one diagram is given. This is a final diagram. Okay, this is a final diagram. That means this particular diagram is given. So it's not exactly of this particular shape, but I hope there will be one trapezoidal was there, and there is one triangle was there, and then we have drawn a final superimposition diagram which resulted in this particular shape. Okay, so this is a final diagram is given. Now let's go to the first method. If you can draw this particular diagram, or it will be there, don't worry. So I'll just take you on the notes. Okay. So the same diagram is there. Okay, you can draw this, and you can mark this as a dotted line, and here you can mark this as x star, small x star. So basically in every method we want to determine this x star point. Okay, this x star point, this is a defudgified point. This is a defudgification value.
So the example we just wrote before, was also for max membership principle?
Same diagram. In fact, I'm using a little bit modification is there. So I was just trying to explain how this particular diagram came, right? If I directly draw, because if I directly draw this particular diagram, so if you read the method, this method is actually on the output diagram. If you see here, this method is also known as height method and is limited to peak output function. Okay, it's output function. So output, what do you mean by output function? Output function is basically a graph. This is output function. These two are what? Input function. Okay, the first C1 is input function, second C2 is input function. Then we make output function like this. So this method is applicable on the output function, and for that, this particular thing I had to explain this thing, right? You understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So first of all, for solving by this particular method, if the problem is given to us, so we will first always we will derive the output function, and then on the output function we will going to apply this particular method. Now, what this method says, it's a max membership principle. It says that wherever is the max membership is there, you select that particular point. That's it. But on which graph? On the output graph. Okay, and don't select on the input graph. You select on the output graph. So if basically we join both the input graph, we got this particular thing, and from the graph, it's very clear that this particular point is the peak point, max membership principle, max point, right? So we are selecting this point, and we are just, I mean, we will going to select, we will project on this particular axis, and we will select this value. So this is the method of max membership. What you have to write in the exam, you will have to draw this particular graph, then you will have to write these statements, and you will have to write this particular formula. So where here the max membership is what? Mu c of x star is greater than equal to mu c of x for all x. So for any kind of membership values on this particular graph, this x star membership value will be the max. This is mean by this particular formula. So this is the first method, max membership differentiation method, and this method is applicable to only output function. Just draw this. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next method, it's a centroid method. Okay. Second method is centroid method. So this method is also known as center of mass and comma center of area or center of gravity method. You know what is centroid? Okay. If you take any body, okay, uh, if we just hang that particular body from one point, and if it is in equilibrium position, right? So that point is what? A centroid point. So if you see, the every geometrical shape will have a centroid point, right? Like a triangle will have the centroid point, a trapezoidal will have the centroid point. And basically for this solving the problems here, we will be requiring the formula for centroid point of triangle. And what is the formula for centroid of triangle? It will be, for example, suppose we are having 3 points like this. Say this is triangle. Or let's say there will be some point, okay, 3 points here also. Here also some points will be there. Let's say x1, y1, and x1, y1. Let's mark this as x2, y2. Let's mark this as x3, y3. So the formula of xy of centroid point, okay, so for x centroid point will be given by x1 plus x2, right, plus x3, x1 plus x2 plus x3 divided by 3. Similarly, y coordinate of centroid will be given by what? Y equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3. Divided by 3, right? So let's say suppose that point is over here, and if you just suspend this particular triangle from this point, it will be in equilibrium position. Okay, this is what a centroid point. All of you clear? This is centroid point. So basically we are dealing with this particular method. Let's go. So this method is also known as center of mass, center of area, or center of gravity method. This is also called a center of gravity. It is the most commonly used method, and the problem is also for solving purpose is as based on this particular method. So that the defuzzified output x star, I told you that in every method we will going to find out this x star. Okay, so here the defuzzified output x star is given, defined as, and here it's the formula which includes the integration, right? So x star is given by, x star is equal to integration of mu c of x into x dx upon the integration of mu c x dx. So there is one fuzzy set, right? Mu c x into x dx upon mu c x dx, where the symbol, this one indicates what? Algebraic integration. And if you see the diagram, the same diagram is there. The first first method diagram, same diagram is there, and this is the output diagram. Okay, so for the entire question you can have the input diagram the same which I explained, both C1 and C2 fuzzy set, and the output diagram you can consider. Okay, here this method is also based on this output diagram, and here it is shown. And if you try to calculate the value x star, it will come little bit over here. If you see the max membership is at this particular point, if you project, the x star will come by first method, the point will be somewhere here, but with the centroid method, this point is coming, x star is coming somewhere little bit shifted. Okay, so there will be slightly difference between this, the max membership value, and this centroid method, right? And formula you will have to remember, there is no choice, but you can remember like this: if there is a center of mass is there or center of gravity, obviously we will going to consider the integration part. And at the end I'll try to make the statement so that you will, by just looking at the name, you'll be able to guess that whether there will be integration or whether there will be a sigma notation. So don't worry about that. For the time being, just note down the formula is like this: the mu c of x into x dx. So it's basically we will be considering the membership values, and we'll be multiplying with the x coordinate into dx. Okay, so this will be our centroid point. Upon, we will be just doing the summation, I mean the integration of all the areas, right? All the elements, and we will divide by that. So there is another way also of doing this particular problem, and when we'll be solving the problem based on this method, I'll explain how we will going to solve this. So we will simply avoid the integration and we will solve in some other way, but basically we'll be in principle we'll be doing the same thing. Yeah, anybody having any doubt? Integration of x star equal to integration of mu c x into x dx upon integration of mu c x dx. And draw this graph and show the x star point.
Sir, can you just scroll up a bit? I need to write down the definition.
Oh, this one, okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So all this thing I have taken from this this book only. Okay, this is the book, and this I have uploaded on Google Classroom, right? So if you want, you can make, I mean, you can refer this particular book also. It's there.
Sir, done.
Done? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's see the next method. It's a weighted average method. So we saw first one, that is the max principle, second centroid method, and third this is weighted average method. So this weighted average method is valid for, remember, it's valid for symmetrical output. Okay, so it's valid for output function that is there, but which kind of output function? The output function has to be what? a symmetrical output function, right? So if you see that basically the diagram, it's like this. So there is one output function, there is another output function, and both are symmetrical. So if this kind of structure is there, we can directly find out by using this particular method, weighted average method, and we can determine the x star point. So if you see here, this method is valid for symmetrical output membership function only. Each membership function is weighted by its maximum membership value. Okay, for example, this is weighted by 0.5, and this function, output function, weighted by 1, right? So each membership function weighted by its maximum membership value. The output in the case is given by x star is equal to. So here if you see, there is sigma notation is there. Okay, it's basically the same formula, this one, but here integration was there. This is also x bar only. Okay, it's a centroid point. Here also if you see mu c x, this is centroid point xi bar into xi bar divided by sigma of mu c xi. So we can find out x star by using this particular formula, where sigma denotes the algebraic sum and xi bar is the maximum of the ith membership function. The method is illustrated in the figure below, where two fuzzy sets are considered from the figure. So if you see the figure here, there is one trapezoidal is there. Okay, this is A point, this is B point, this is 0.5 amplitude, and this is peak one is what, 1. Now if you want to write the formula, x star is equal to, so 0.5 multiplied by this A, because it's weighted point is what, 0.5. Similarly 1 multiplied by, sorry, it's 0.8, I think. It's not 1, it will be 0.8. So you can just mark 0.1 over here, and this will be what, a 0.8 value. So just a little bit change the diagram. This one will be little bit above, and this will be 0.8. The peak will be 0.8. So we can say 0.8 multiplied by this b divided by the summation of both the peak values. So 0.5 plus 0.8. By using this particular formula, if the graph is like this, the output graph is like this, symmetrical, then we can directly find out by using this weighted average method. Okay, so what we are doing, simply we are multiplying by the weighted point and we are finding the average. That's it.
Sir, can you scroll up?
Weighted average.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So anybody is using this Discord server. This Discord server is there. Anybody knows about this? So from here we can add the server. We can create our server, right, like this, and then I can create my own server, and then basically I can join people over there. For example, the way we make the group on WhatsApp and Telegram, here also we can make the group, and we can create multiple channels, okay, on the same on the same server, and then all the people can communicate to each other, or we can have the discussion and all. I don't know whether the lecture it can also be taken, I don't know, but this is what a Discord server is. It's DISCORD, Discord.
So you can scroll down now.
So you can just remember this. This method is limited to symmetrical membership function. The values of are the means of their respective shapes. Okay, so values of a and b, that means this a and b are the respective means of their shape. So anyway, just remember this is a middle point. This is also a middle point of this one. Okay, this is also a middle point of this one where we are projecting a and b.
So I
Right.
didn't get this weighted average method. Can you just explain it again?
So there are two shapes. Output shapes will be there of the symmetrical shape. Okay, the both should be the symmetrical. So for example, if you see here, this is a trapezoidal, small trapezoidal. This is big trapezoidal. So both are symmetrical, right? If they are not symmetrical, then we cannot apply this particular method. So the output shape should be symmetrical. Second thing, so how to apply this? What we can do, we can simply multiply by that particular weight to the middle point. If you see here, this is the middle point A. We are multiplying by 0.5 plus this is middle point of this particular shape, right? So what we are doing, we are multiplying B by 0.8. Okay, here 0.8 will be there, and then divided by both the peaks, 0.5 plus 0.8. So this will give you, and each shape is weighted by certain weight value. That's why this method is called as what? Weighted average method. That's it.
So, but why are we finding X star? What is the purpose of finding X star?
X star is a crisp value. Okay. X
Okay,
star is what? A crisp value. So by using every method, we are supposed to determine the X star, and X star is a crisp value. So basically, this will be, entire thing will be having a what? A fuzzy value, but by using all these method, we will be converting to a crisp value. Okay. And
okay,
the purpose of applying all these methods are to determine that X star value. So during the start, I gave you that example. If we want to design a controller, and on one particular voltage level or one particular current level, we want to make certain decision, then we should have a crisp value, right? So that will be a X star value. So based on that, we can either switch on or switch off. Clear?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So what is the last line?
Last line, this one or this one you are talking about?
Yes, sir, the last line. As this method is limited.
As this method is limited to symmetrical membership function, as this method is limited to symmetrical membership functions, comma, the values of A and B, the values of A and B are the means of their respective shapes. The values of, what it means, the values of A and B are the means of their respective shapes. So this A is actually the mean of this particular shape. This B is actually the mean of this particular shape. It's actually a middle point.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So in
Ah.
previous two methods, we are just using a single output. For
Yes,
weighted
yes.
average method, we need two outputs.
Two outputs should be there, and that should be symmetrical.
So there will be 4 inputs for generating these two outputs as well.
Not necessary. Not necessary. I want two two symmetrical output. That's it. Whether the input side 2 inputs are there or 3 inputs are there, 4 inputs are there. Okay. But output side, I want two symmetrical output. How
Okay,
you are generating, that doesn't matter. If this kind of shape I am seeing on the output side, immediately my mind should click that I can apply this weighted average method. That's it. If nothing is this sort of things are there, then this method is not applicable. That's it.
okay, sir.
Okay. So many of the time, see why this method is there. Many of the times we see on the membership function, many of the people, they might have used the trapezoidal functions. Okay. And if on the graph we are seeing this kind of output function, then immediately we can determine, no need to calculate, immediately we can determine the by using the weighted average method, what will be the crisp value X star. Okay. But if you see the output is like this, okay, if this is the output or this is the output, so we cannot apply this weighted average method. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and there are some methods which are applicable to only input function. There are some methods which are only applicable to output function. So these basically whatever methods we have covered. The first one max membership, the second is centroid, and third is weighted average. All these three methods are basically targeting to output function. They are based on the output function. So anyhow, we have to derive the output function first, and then we have to solve the problem, and it will be only applicable to output function. Okay. Okay, then we are having, let's make it this as a last one. Okay, otherwise it will be too much. So let's see this one as the last one, mean max membership. The fourth method is mean max membership. Mean max membership. Now if you see here, let me explain directly. So if you see here, this is a graph is given to us. Okay, and this point is A, this point is B, and this is a X star point. So basically we have to select two mean point, and we have to take the average of that. So that will be X star point. So this method is what? Mean max membership. So we have to select the max first membership, and we have to select whatever max we are selecting. We have to select the mean of that. For example, if you see the formula is like this. We have to sum all the mean divided by the number of means. So that will be basically what we are taking the average, right? So we are taking the mean of all the membership values. So if we see the theory, this method is also known as the middle of maxima. This is closely related to the max membership method, except that the locations of the maximum membership can be non-unique. So for example, if you see the max membership, this was the graph. So here you can immediately tell me that which is the max point. This is the max point, right? So there is only one single unique max point. But if this kind of shape is there, if this is a shape, there is no one unique. If we see here, this is a unique, this is what max point, this is max point, this is max point. There are several max points are there, right? So there is no unique max point is there. So the first max membership method will not be applicable to this particular graph, right? So that's why here we are applying mean max membership method, where the multiple max membership values are there. Then we can just select the mean of all, and that will be the X star. So this is basically this method. This method is also known as the middle of maxima. This is usually related to max membership method, except that the locations of the maximum membership can be non-unique. So here we are having non-unique, multiple points are there. The output here is given by X star equal to I equal to 1 to n sigma xi bar divided by n. So this is illustrated in the figure below. We notice that defuzzified output is given by X star equal to A plus B divided by 2. So basically, if you select all the points of X star on this particular line, and then you sum it, and then you divide by those number of points, so basically you will get the same point. So either you select A and B and just divide by that 2, you will get the average middle of that one. Write this.
So we are converting the entire fuzzy set into one crisp value X star.
Yeah, one X star value we are determining.
Okay, sir.
Mm.
So you can scroll up to the definition part.
So,
Mm.
so in the definition, in the fourth line of the maximum membership can be non-unique, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that means here if you see there is a max membership point over here, right? Then in this entire line from this particular point till this point, all these points are what the max membership only, right? If you see here the first diagram, this is the first diagram, there is only one point, one single point is there. It's a unique point. Okay, it's a unique max membership point. But here we are having non-unique points. So there are multiple max membership values are there. Clear? This is called a non-unique max membership.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. For tomorrow's lecture also, if you want, you can just download this particular software and keep with you this SWI Prolog. Okay, you can install on your PC and keep with you. But most probably I'll be taking lecture only tomorrow also, right? Once I'll be, what I'm thinking, then once I'll finish this entire fuzzy logic and then I'll start with the practical. So till your first test, at least your fuzzy logic part should be over. We will be much relaxed. And I hope it will not be burden also, and because you are practicing and we have taken lots of problem. So those who are not practicing, please start practicing the problems. I've already covered lots of problems. You just just revise once, you will remember everything.
Sir, if everyone is done, you can scroll down to the graph part.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So this is it, right? We stop here for today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's all for today. We'll meet tomorrow and then we'll proceed ahead. Okay, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Mandar, please send me the attendance letter.
Yes, sir, sure.
Yeah. So I'm ending this particular meeting. Okay. Chalo, all of you. Bye. Thanks.